Level up, level up, level up. Welcome back to Talk 1000 Podcast. The revolution will not be televised, but will be heard. So I want to conclude this with a little bit of extra bonus, kind of, not really a bonus. I had a lot more to talk about today, but look, man, there's so much information, man. There's so much shit going on, and there's always more new information coming about day by day by day. But I really want to talk about the reason why I'm doing this podcast truly is because it's all about unity. It's all about, we really do need to achieve full unity, and we need to stop depending on the so-called powers that be to demonstrate how we should achieve that, because right now at this point it's in our hands as the people. It really is in our hands. That's what this podcast is really about. This is all in our hands. We are the true ones that have the power, and this is what they really, really don't want you to know. And some of y'all really actually know that, but you're too scared to step in and demonstrate that. So there are people like us who are showing you that there are ways to demonstrate that power. But again, this is all about unity for the people and the ways to actually achieve it. It's not really about you being asleep. It's not about you just being asleep. We're not, again, I'm not trying to insult or ruin anybody's dreams or ruin anybody's fantasies or destroy your understanding or views on life. Again, these are, a lot of these are based on experience. A lot of this is based on not just my opinions, but I've done a lot of studies. And like I say, there's new information coming about. I am not necessarily a religious person, but I do understand the values of spirituality, and I do understand that there is a creator, something that created us as a whole. So I get very deep a lot of times on a lot of subjects, and you will experience that a lot of times because I'm going through some very spiritual things. I'm going through a lot of spiritual shit, y'all. A lot of spiritual shit. And I'm telling you, it's not a game. And the things that I'm going to reveal in the next podcast from the very beginning are just going to start. That's where I'm going to start really blowing the lid on what is the realities based on my experiences, once again, and my studies. I always go by my studies connected to my experiences, because I will never come out talking about things that I studied but never experienced, because misinformation happens. You know what I'm saying? So that person that you even saw in those videos previous to this small final segment, that is me. That's who I became after a near-death experience. And I will tell people, there are things that happen to you in your brain where when something real profound happens to you, from, in my instance, a couple of near-death experiences, your mind starts to expand and enlighten in ways that you never thought existed. And that's actually something that's going to be a big topic in my next podcast. We're not just talking about things that are going on in Hollywood, the influences. We're not just talking about any of this stuff or music or things like that. We're talking about everything that's truly meant to make America great again. I can't speak for other countries. I don't think anyone in America can truly speak for other countries any more than we should be able to have the right to speak on politics. I say let the politicians speak on the politics, and we just go by what we know. You know what I'm saying? Just go by what we know. Slow your roll. Just stay on your lane. You know what I'm saying? And do what you know. Speak what you know. The information that you will hear in this podcast in the future is what I know from a personal view, because I want people out here to understand what's really going on. I don't want you to experience certain things and be too busy being dead to learn from it. You understand what I'm saying? Certain lessons will be, a lot of people are, let me learn for myself, but there's certain experiences that'll kill you. Like it did the cat, the curiosity. You know what I'm saying? So, once again, I want to thank everybody, man. I want to thank all the truth seekers, the truth givers, the people that paid attention to this particular podcast. or maybe even stumbled upon this podcast or heard about it, man, you are the truth seeker, and therefore in the future you will one day become the truth giver. And I promise you, I'm doing my best not to steer people wrong. I'm always doing my best to really collect information. I really stalled out on this podcast because, you know, there's just new information coming every single day. There's certain bits of information constantly changing, and I'm just trying to get the most current, most steady, stable, accurate information from the most reliable sources so that I can recollect on what I understand is going on from my own personal experiences, whether it be within the music industry, which I have been a part of, I have met the celebrities and such, or anything otherwise, you know, just based on things I've seen or experienced, you know, with my history and my knowledge, you know. And I think that's what a lot of podcasters do, you know what I'm saying? But I'm really trying to keep this whole thing 1,000. There is something else going on in our country. A lot of people will not get the opportunities they deserve in life. Once America really begins to grasp in their mind that everybody's not going to be rich and everybody's not going to be famous, you really start to grasp that it's all by actual design. And then you start to follow that little rabbit hole and you start doing your studies. You start studying the government. You start studying and doing your homework. You start to follow along, and eventually you can connect the dots in what is not only going on in our system, but what's going on in your personal life and the people around you as well. So what this is about is on that day when everybody wakes up and fully realizes just how by design everything is, they're going to come to like I say, the podcasters are winning right now. You know what I mean? So again, the revolution will no longer ever be televised, but will be heard. And that's what demonstrates Talk 1000. All of the realisms, all of the true gritty realistics that people don't necessarily want to hear. You know what I'm saying? If the truth hurts, fix it. Don't get mad at the messenger for giving it. Do what you can to fix it. I have to deal with fixing things in my life when someone actually comes and tells me that I'm doing something wrong. And I realize it. I have to deal with, I can't get mad at them. If anything, they care enough to tell me the truth. So I can't make the excuse to get mad at that person for telling me what's wrong. I have to fix it. So that goes just as well for you as the people. It's time for us to stop pointing fingers at everybody else in the system right now. We all know the system's fucked up. That much, there's nothing we can really do about it as far as running into the White House like these other fools did. That's not gonna work. Rebelling against the system is not gonna, I mean, if you wanna get killed in 5 minutes, that'll work. You know what I mean? But there are other ways. There are other ways to do this where we're not necessarily causing harm to anyone, but taking the people who are in corrupt power out of position of influence by using our voices the same way I did in this town that now spits in my face and thinks I don't belong here when I'm the one that helped make the change happen from the beginning. It doesn't matter. You have nothing to prove to anyone, guys. If you know what's right, live by what's right. If you're content in your life, be content with your life. If there are things that you don't have, you will acquire them when you really want them in time. Don't live based on a society that wants to go, ha ha ha, you don't have this now, but I do, or ha ha ha, you don't have it, when 9 times out of 10 they don't have it themselves. Because it's not easy. Like, again, I was homeless for 20 years. I did all of this by myself. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want people running around thinking that just because other people say you should have this or you should have that by now, that that's who you should be. I don't want you to think that the social status or the societal order demanding that you should be this or have that or do this or do that is going to determine or validate you as a successful person or a failure. Everybody has their skill sets. God put everybody on this earth for a reason. The only thing that people don't do these days is follow their reason, follow their heart, because the 9-to-5 world demands that you don't have time to do that. What I went through was extremely difficult. A lot of people don't have that warrior courage. In fact, a lot of people right now in Atlanta or Hollywood are sleeping in their own cars trying to be famous. But once I understood that the whole Hollywood thing, as I said in the first segment, is completely fake. It's like, again, like I said, it's like a world of Legos. It's a world that doesn't exist the same way as you being the president or having anything to do with the White House doesn't actually exist. If you are a 9-to-5 working in an average, that's not going to exist. You are not connected, initiated. So you have to understand that it's all designed. And a lot of this gives off the reason the rich will get richer and the poor will always stay poor, because it is by design. Again, once you realize you're all not going to be rich, you're all not going to be famous. Everybody in America and the world is not going to be rich and famous. I don't care how good or talented you are. It is by design. There are a lot of extremely talented people, better than Hollywood right now, out there in the street, wishing they could have done better, or wishing they could have done this, or had the opportunity and got screwed over. Or singing their shoulda, coulda, wouldas, like that movie Sister Act. There's a lot of people on the street right now more talented than Hollywood, wishing upon a star, tried to do the right thing, and then eventually ended up realizing it's by design, only to come to a world that's not going to believe them, just going to say they're making excuses. That is a 9-to-5 status quo world that we live in. And I don't want to see a materialistic world where you and your soul don't matter anymore. I didn't grow up that way. I was raised better than that. And I am always going to speak when I see something wrong. And a lot of you claim to be heroes, but don't want to do anything when the villain shows up. You talk about being soldiers, but you only talk about it when ain't no war going on. Adversity seems to be a problem for y'all to face. So now podcasters are winning because it's the only platform that the real speakers can actually speak on without people saying we're crazy. I get thousands of people on my TikTok. I speak the truth. The 9-to-5 world doesn't know. You don't have time in the 9-to-5 world to know what the truth is, but you can still make money. We're all making money just doing what we do. And a lot of people are just mad at you because they made the mistake of listening to the societal order say they have to enslave for somebody else and be on their feet 24 hours a day just to make a little money. We found out that that's not the case. That's not necessarily the case. So when people see me doing podcasting, when people see me playing video games, enjoying myself and just being out and about, they can't stand it. They can't understand it. But yet you see me eating at some of the most expensive places in the town, like Q Barbecue and stuff, when it ain't even the first of the month. You know, I'm beating the odds. And I realized with my experiences that in a society of just 9-to-5 and forget your hopes and dreams and goals and get caught up, when they see somebody who's doing it differently, the way that they always wanted to do it, they don't understand it because they've lived around nothing but people who had no true ambition within themselves to do what God put them on this earth to do. If God gave you a voice, you're supposed to be a speaker. If God gave you the gift of rhythm, you're supposed to be a musician. If God gave you the gift to entertain, you're supposed to be a comedian or an entertainer of some kind. Again, you are living in a system that is by design, where Hollywood is not real. The whole thing about being an actor, like they said, like I said earlier in the first segment, not real. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it on your own. I didn't need to get a degree to learn how to do my own editing for music videos, for my own videos, to do special effects, to make my own instrumentals, to rap, to make this film to write scripts, do stories. Once we learn that we have the power to be our own Hollywood, and that's why I was saying in the second segment that the age of the independent artist is rising. All of this, the allegations going on in Hollywood, the pedophilia, all the crap going on in Hollywood, people are turning away. Like, y'all are weird, Holly weird. That's why they're calling it Holly weird. We have the power to start turning the tables around. Not only that, we have the power to put our hearts and souls into something and share it with the world and breathe new life into the entertainment world that we never thought existed. That to me is magical. Bringing back true influence in a way that Hollywood used to but doesn't seem to want to anymore. And podcasting even has a lot to do with that. I want y'all to live, man. I want the new generation to live. Seriously. Don't repeat history. Don't ignore these truths. That's the one thing we don't do is listen and apply. Not even just listen, but just apply. And go out into life and apply those profound words from another who has experienced it. Because when you hear profound logic, when you hear profound words based on things maybe you never experienced. See, a lot of people will try to pretend like you're ignorant or you don't know what you're talking about because you're speaking on a level they've never experienced based on experiences that they've never had. They've never been in them streets. They've never experienced that struggle. They've never been homeless on a Christmas. They don't know that pain. They don't know what bipolar disorder is. They may hear about it on TV when they come across people like us, and yes, I do suffer from it as well. But when they hear about people like us who suffer from bipolar disorder, they completely just disregard us like, oh, this person's crazy, this person's this and that, he's using it as an excuse. Our society is completely judgmental and likes to gaslight the good people who are telling the truth because they can't stand the way that we tell it. Because we're in their face, you know. Keep getting in their faces. Be as in their face as you can be. Because one or two things is going to happen. The people who understand it and know it and see the truth are going to follow you. And it's going to show you who are the sleepers, who are against you. Again, in the movie The Matrix, a scene with Morpheus talking to Neo says some people are so inert, so dependent on the system that they'll fucking fight you to protect it. So imagine what happens when you start knowing a little too much. Where the same laws and codes and statutes and commandments of society that people have followed for years, you're the one that comes along and challenges it. You're the one that has to come along and question everything these people grew up believing in their whole lives. Just like they also grew up believing that Christopher Columbus discovered America. Just like they ended up growing up believing that, hey, if you get all A's and B's, like I said before, hey, you're gonna make it. You're gonna become Hollywood. I was always told if I get A's and B's and good grades, no, that was just a ploy so that the teacher could feel like they were doing their job. Because if you've been paying attention to Hollywood right now, if you've been paying attention to them P. Diddy, Puff Daddy after parties, if you've been paying attention to all of that, that shit is weird. At the end of the day, people are sucking each other off to make it in that industry. Let's be realistic. I know we want to keep this friendly and all of this stuff, man. Nah, man, we can't anymore. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. I'm not going to say something just to make it in a way that makes you feel better. It better make you feel uncomfortable. Because again, if the truth really hurts, if you were getting mad at it, how you getting mad at me? Look at the society we're in right now. Look at what's going on when you turn on that TV now. It's worse than it was when I was turning on the TV. It's crazy now. It's senseless. It's so heartless and soulless. The devil is here. In my next podcast, I'm going to show y'all something. Literally. In the next videos I put up. The devil gave me a fucking Netspend Visa card with the number 666 on the back of it. And I'm going to explain the whole situation previous to. Yeah. The spiritual problems are real. But again, I'm speaking from experiences. I still have the card sitting in my book bag. I was going to talk about it today, but I've been on too much. There's just too much information. There's so much. I got podcasting for days and days and days and years. There's just so much more information. Sometimes I don't know where I'm gonna start, which was a lot of the reason why I had a little bit of trouble at first making this podcast. But I just want to thank everybody who really paid attention to this particular podcast, this pilot of Talk 1000 podcast, because I was gonna try to be real entertaining and kind of funny throughout this, but there's too much, and I'm not. To me right now, I'm just not in that laughing mood in this moment. But this had to be done. I had to start somewhere with this, and so I apologize if I came off a little depressing at some point. Again, I had to face these realities in the raw through experience. So imagine like the experience of all of this versus you having to unfortunately hear such realities as now in the future without be podcasting. It has not been an easy road, but I've watched society fall apart not knowing these things, and then coming to me later in life when some of the people who know me have gone through certain experiences I didn't think they'd go through. Man, I never and I tell them, I went through the same shit when I was homeless and you thought I was out here messing around. Oh man, dude, I never thought I'd be homeless. Yeah, man. It's by design. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, now, anything. They too powerful. If you're the low end, you're the low end. If you're not a 1%er, you're just not. You don't matter. And I think I want to leave it at that, man. But I guess I'm doing this out of tough love, man. Real tough love. I'm tired. I know that a lot of y'all are tired, who are experiencing a lot of this shit with society just being against you the way that it is against me, when you just trying to help. You're just trying to help. And this is going to be a long road and a long war. But it will be heard. I will be heard. Y'all will be heard. But in order for us to connect in a way that all powers basically become one, like a superhero movie, you have to first get the understandings. You have to know. You have to listen to the ones who've experienced. Collect that information. Don't just listen to it. Collect that information so that when you familiarize yourself with a situation one day connected to that information, you know exactly what to avoid. See, a lot of times it's the one that fucked up that you should listen to. A lot of people will be like, yo, why should I listen to that person, man? That motherfucker is homeless. He on the street. He fucked up. Well, yeah, maybe he's the one that's going to tell you exactly what not to do. If it was his fault. Even if it wasn't his fault, he'll at least tell you who not to trust. You feel me? Once again, thank everybody for listening. Thank all the truth seekers, truth givers. You are the future. You are the new, better warriors. It's your boy JX Phantom. Thank you for listening to Talk 1000 Podcast Radio. The revolution will not be televised, but it will most definitely be motherfucking heard. Level up, level up, level up.
Niggas pay the price if I go hard, but it's free smoke, it ain't no charge. Pick the channel full of drama, got a lot of sequels, you don't want no part. If I catch a hater by the moonlight, ain't nobody stop.